everyone. Welcome to LongLong Art's annual graduation ceremony. I would like to thank the students, parents, and graduates for all attending. Special thanks to Dragon Eagle TV for live streaming. I am Angelina.
I am Melinda.
I'm Allie.
I'm Sweeta.
And I am Eddie.
And we're your hosts for today. There will be a 10-minute Q&A after the speeches, but if you have any questions, please feel free to put them in the chat. Before we hear from the graduates, I would like to revisit the studio's highlights and accomplishments of the past year, starting off with the Scholastic Art Competition.
In 2021, LongLong Art Studio received 48 awards from Scholastic, America's longest running since 1923 and most prestigious recognition program for creative teens. In 2021, 20 won honorable mention, 10 won silver keys, and 18 won gold keys.
Yibo Yu was an American Vision nominee, which is given to 5 people in each region, and her artwork was also chosen to be the cover of the newsletter. Only the top 1% are awarded national medals. Yi Tian Zhang was awarded the National Gold Medal, and Angelina Ko was awarded National Silver.
Many LongLong Art Studio students won awards in the State Fish Competition for Michigan. During this year, there were 7 winners from LongLong Art. Among them, Yihan Wang was the national 3rd place winner. This was a great accomplishment as there were only 12 total national winners for this contest.
Although only 20% of all Celebrating Art participants were selected to be published, a substantial number of LongLong Art students were published and even achieved high merit.
Honoring the Chinese culture and heritage of many students at LongLong Art, students participated and won awards for the 2021 Ox Zodiac Contest. 7 students from LongLong Art won awards in categories ranging from posters to 3D design.
The Earth Day poster contest included students in kindergarten through 5th grades. Posters were judged based on a theme that included plants, wildlife, or ecosystems native to Michigan. The artwork was drawn by hand or digitally created. The Michigan Department of Environment presented certificates to award winners. Alicia Ko won 1st place along with Elizabeth Fong, and Maggie Fong won 2nd.
Next, we will be moving on to events during the pandemic, starting with the National Art Honor Society.
The program supports members in their efforts to attain the highest standards in art scholarship, character, service, and to bring art education to the attention of various schools and the surrounding communities. LongLong Art provided the opportunity for one-on-one meetings with program members as well.
LongLong Art Studio also hosted a graduation ceremony last year to send off graduates. Many of the studio's alumni spoke in the ceremony, including Marvin Jiang, who was a 2019 graduate from UPenn, and Elizabeth Sun, who was a 2015 graduate from Harvard and received her master's degree at Columbia Law School in 2019.
During the hard times of COVID, LongLong Art Studio donated thousands of surgical masks, gloves, wipes, hand sanitizer, and shoe covers to the Henry Ford Hospital.
This act truly inspired the community to help hospitals with their shortages. Along with these donations, 7-year-old Alicia Ko drew a poster encouraging and supporting healthcare workers. In fact, right now, this poster is being presented at the Hemland Brain Tumor Center of the Henry Ford Hospital.
LongLong Art Studio also recognized the number of job losses during the COVID time period. To help family issues and let students continue their art education, LongLong Art Studio waived the annual tuition for 17 families.
Up next, we will be moving on to the artistic journey of college application with our special guest, Julia Xu.
Julia Xu was a former student at LongLong Art Studio who graduated 4 years ago and went to the University of Michigan. This year, she was admitted by Stanford University to get her master's degree. 4 years ago, as a graduate from high school, she gave us an encouraging speech about continuing to take art classes. Welcome, Julia Xu, as she will be talking about art, music, and beyond.
Thanks for the welcome, Eddie. So hi, everyone. My name is Julia, and as Eddie mentioned, I graduated from the University of Michigan, where I majored in computer science. And then this fall, I'll be starting graduate school at Stanford, where I'll be pursuing some of my research interests in computer science. And I guess I wanted to talk a little bit about how unexpectedly art and a lot of different artistic fields have impacted me in school and my career. Like if you had asked me, like when I graduated high school and started college, oh, will you be pursuing art or any other music related interests, for example? I would have definitely said no, because even though I really enjoyed art as a hobby, it was something casual and it wasn't anything I really considered as a career. But and when I graduated Miss LongLong Studio in high school, I thought that would be the end of it, because I was studying computer science, but that really ended up being untrue. I enjoyed my CS classes and I thought I'd be focused on STEM. But then in my junior and senior year of college, I began to find intersections between art and CS, surprisingly. And it wasn't that I was purposely searching for anything art related, but more that I naturally just came across a lot of different projects, a lot of different use cases of art in CS. And because I had this background and taking lessons since like starting from elementary school all the way until high school, I just felt really connected and interested in these projects. For example, I worked on machine learning projects that were based off of research papers that looked at analyzing artist styles and commonalities within different mediums of art, like pencil or paint. I've worked with some virtual reality projects and had to use like 3D graphic design software to build models, to build like different objects and scenes. And I know like a few friends, one of them who really enjoys art and who's really good at it. She's also in computer science, and now she's in a career in UI, UX, and graphic design. So I think there are just so many paths, whether it's research, whether it's with 3D design, whether it's with like UI, UX, there's just a lot of intersection with which I never expected when going into this field. And I think my main point is that you never know what benefits these hobbies and these extracurricular activities can bring you further down the road. Because even if you really enjoy art but aren't going into a career in it, that doesn't mean you're never going to interact with it again further down in the future. And so yeah, my focus had been in CS, and then I realized there was just a lot of interesting ways art can be used in CS, and not only art, but I think just a lot of different extracurricular activities that you do and too. For me, I think an even stronger example is maybe with music and like these other fields. I started playing piano similarly with art in elementary school, but unlike art, which I really enjoyed doing and taking lessons for, with piano, I always disliked practicing. I never liked performing. I only did it because my parents really pushed me. I liked music, but just hated the performance aspect. And my piano studio also had a really outstanding students who won at all sorts of competitions, and I just was not one of those students. During high school, there were 2 times I almost quit. I really wanted to quit. And then my piano teacher sat me down and said, you should keep going. And she did convince me to stay because in part I did like music. I just didn't like practicing, and I didn't like really performing either. And then when I graduated, similarly with art, I thought, oh, okay, I'm done. This was a great hobby to have maybe in high school, and that's the end of it. And I didn't think in college or beyond I'd really interact with it more. But then if you see a pattern here, that ended up being very untrue too. I'm actually going to graduate school to do research in computer science, audio, and music. That's the research direction I want to go in. And I guess I would never have believed you because in my first 2 years of college, I really did enjoy CS, and I think the arts these like art-related fields were really far from me. But in the end, I sort of like came back around to this. In college, one of my courses during a semester would be some sort of fun class. I've taken ceramics classes, art history classes, astronomy, Asian pop culture classes, just a bunch of these really just random non-major classes. And I also took a class on electronic music, which I really enjoyed. And I ended up taking a class on composition and theory as well. And at that point, I hadn't touched piano in I think in at least 2 years. But then for these classes, I ended up having to use a piano to compose, to work on assignments. And I realized, oh, I really like music. I want to do a career in this, or I want to somehow intersect my interests in computer science with my music, with my interest in the arts. So I found a professor who worked with 3D sound, AR, and VR design. So like modeling 3D objects and also working with 3D sound. And this, I found like a lot of interest and a lot of excitement in this area. And because of that, I ended up deciding to go to graduate school. I at first didn't want to. I was like, okay, 4 years is enough. I'll graduate, do software engineering. But then after that experience, I realized, wow, these are really interesting fields out there. And I mainly just want to say, whether it's like art or any other extracurricular activity, you never know how that's going to impact you later on. Like, you don't have to be the best at it, and that's okay. Even if you have a slightest interest, I think you should pursue it and keep going. Because like with piano, I was definitely average. I was not the top student or anything. But now I realize, wow, I really enjoy music, and I want to intersect it with my other, with my career interests, and like these these extracurricular activities I didn't really think much of beyond as just hobbies that I enjoyed in my free time. Now they're really guiding my career. And I think that was just really unexpected for me to find. So my main point is sometimes you'll just be surprised at how these extracurriculars can impact you later on, and just to really enjoy them and to have fun in the classes. But yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Julia, for the wonderful speech. Now we will be hearing from our 2021 graduates, starting off with Dorothy Yin.
Dorothy Yin won many awards in high school, earning her the name award winner. These included awards from school to state to even the President's Award. She decided to choose the Ross School of Business in Michigan to pursue her career in business.
Now let's welcome Dorothy to share her speech, Art from the Heart.
Thanks so much, Melinda. It's such an honor to be able to share some of my thoughts with everyone today. So when I was 3, I won a daycare coloring contest and thought I was the queen of art. I demanded that my parents enroll me in some real art lessons at age 4. So there my art journey began. I can list so many reasons why I love art. Of course, high school was a pretty stressful time for me. So whenever I had the option, I would use art as an excuse to mentally take a break from all of that pressure. Art also led me to discover a great community of artists. Not only did I get to appreciate more stunning artworks, but I also made some amazing friends. Actually, art was basically the reason why I was able to find my college roommate. If we hadn't had this shared passion for art, I don't think we would have become as close as we did. Aside from my roommate, I became friends with lots of talented artists at the studio and at Troy High through its art club, which was a lifesaver considering I just moved to Michigan my sophomore year. But art wasn't just a way to get new friends and express myself. It was also a tool to get influence and the capability to put my other ideas into action to make an impact on the real world. For one, I really enjoy reading, so using the influence I gained from my dedication to Troy High's National Art Honor Society, I implemented activities that were important to me, like making bookmarks to donate to the Troy Public Library. Overall, I think one of the biggest takeaways from my art journey that was really important to me in high school and life in general was the importance of perseverance.
From losing my middle school art superlative to epically failing Scholastic, I had my fair share of art disappointments. Of course, it's so easy to be caught up in the frustration over how much time and hard work you put in just to get nowhere. But it's more useful to turn that bitterness into fuel for your drive. In the words of Haley Dunphy, I'm not going anywhere. Zhou Laoshi has been an amazing teacher, and I really appreciate all of the opportunities she's given me. I never imagined that I would be able to say that I've demoed at the DIA and Detroit Symphony Orchestra and met Bernie Sanders' wife, Jane Sanders. She's also helped National Art Honor Society so much by letting us teach the little kids from the studio, which was so fun, especially considering the stifling pandemic circumstances. I'm really going to miss seeing the random but endearing splatters of paint on the studio's walls and floors, the fish tank, and the iconic octopus on the garage. So here I am 15 years later, far from being the queen of art. But even if you feel discouraged from not being the best at something you enjoy or not producing what you imagined in your head, I hope the artists here have a lot of patience and give art as many chances as it needs, because as you can tell from my experience, it's definitely worth it.
Thank you, Dorothy.
Next up is Daniel Xu. Daniel Xu was accepted early by MIT, and he was selected twice by the United States National Olympiad Team of Mathematics. In addition, he received USACO Platinum for his computer science achievements. He was also accepted into the MIT USA Prime's research program, and his research papers were accepted by academic journals. In addition, he was listed in this year by ABC WXYZ News as graduating seniors of 2021, the brightest and best high schoolers.
Now let's welcome Daniel.
Thank you, Eddie, for the introduction, and also thank you to LongLong Laoshi for hosting this event. It is a pleasure to be speaking for you today. As you heard, I will be attending MIT next year as a freshman. I first joined LongLong Art Studio when I was in 5th grade. I was mainly interested in math that time, but I also had an interest in drawing. Through LongLong Art Studio, I learned how to draw with pencil and also many other things such as clay and painting. Art really opened my eyes beyond STEM. If there's one thing I want you to take away from this talk today is that it doesn't matter what you do in high school. The most important thing is that you enjoy what you're doing. And the reason for this is because if you enjoy what you're doing, you will become more motivated. Your passion will naturally come out. And most importantly, you will be happier in during high school. During my high school, I was very interested in math, and that was my passion. But even though I was mainly interested in STEM, my interest in art helped me in surprising ways. I began to notice things from an artistic perspective, and I was able to see things even in math that others could not. So art was a very important part of my high school career. And finally, if you follow your passion, if you follow your passion, you never know how it will help you. As Julia mentioned before, art can help you in many ways, even if you do not decide to pursue a career in art. It certainly helped me a lot in high school as I was pursuing my STEM academic path. And one famous example is Steve Jobs. When he was studying at college, he said that the favorite class he ever took was actually a calligraphy class. And that's pretty surprising because a guy like Steve Jobs does not seem like he would like calligraphy, but that was his favorite class during college. And he said that it really informed how he created his company Apple and how he designed all of his products and how he built the company to be so successful as it is today. So I want you to take away the fact that the most important thing you can do in high school is to find your passion. And once you find it, you should pursue that, and you will become more happy and you will become more motivated. And finally, you can find many unexpected benefits from this. Thank you.
Thank you, Daniel.
Now, next up is Darren Dane. Darren Dane started to learn at LongLong Art Studio when he was 11 years old. And since he was 13, he has been winning the gold medal and silver medal of the national painting competition. He teaches computing class at the LongLong Art Studio and is named an outstanding young volunteer at Detroit School District. He was accepted by the University of Michigan and UC Berkeley. He finally chose to attend University of Michigan.
Let's now welcome Darren talking about looking back.
Thank you for the introduction, and thank you to Mrs. LongLong for hosting this event today. Good evening, everyone. My name is Darren Zay, and I have been a part of the LongLong Art Studio for 7 years. I started classes as an 11-year-old who had no idea what he wanted to do. But what I did know was that I had no interest in art whatsoever. However, over time, I came to appreciate art, and now as I prepare to graduate, I find it hard to let go. It is without doubt that no other experience can reproduce that of being part of this community. Therefore, I find it an obligation to share with you all everything I have learned as I look back on my experience here. Hopefully, something I say here today will provide to be of value to you in your future. Now, I remember there was once an art competition for painting fish, and I didn't want to participate at first because I didn't think I was good enough to win. But of course, Mrs. LongLong pressured me to join, so I relented. I stayed at the studio painting my fish for hours at a time, and I didn't leave until it was dark outside and everyone else had already left. I painstakingly perfected every detail until finally it was time to enter the competition. Today, I am glad to tell you that I didn't win. In fact, I did not even get a response back from the judges. But this isn't important because while I painted my fish, I learned that I loved painting. The way all the colors came together on the canvas to make a scene was just captivating to me. It was the beginning of an artistic venture that would last a lifetime, and I'm still painting even today. When I look back on that fish painting, I do not see a failure. Instead, I see a doorway behind me that led to be the artist I am today. Believe me when I say, you will not ever regret the fact that you failed at something. You will only regret the fact that you didn't try. So I hope that one day you will paint your own fish as well. I went to figure drawing class with expectations of being able to learn about human anatomy and all the excruciating little details of drawing a human. Come first day of class, and the teacher had us draw impressions. These were simple outlines that were supposed to capture the motion of a pose. I say simple because often they consisted entirely of just a circle for a head and a line for a spine, a few more lines for the limbs. Most times, these took no more than just 10 seconds to draw. At first, I thought these were simply a waste of time and a far cry from the immaculate portraits I was hoping to draw. However, as the teacher added more and more time and I added more and more details to these impressions, I finally understood. Underneath all those elaborate, immaculate drawings in art galleries and expeditions was a simple foundation. And that was what I was learning right there. Everything stemmed from that simple circle and line. You can't do the little things right, you will never be able to do the big things right. I once hosted a class here to teach digital arts and animation. It was my first time doing such a thing. I wrote out a syllabus for the class and started thinking about all the different students I would have, all the questions they would ask, and just how I wanted to teach the class. I envisioned a classroom full of students eager to learn. A few weeks later, it was finally time for this vision to come true. Few people had signed up, and I was so excited for my first students to walk through the door. 6 o'clock. No one had showed up yet. I thought maybe they were all running late, so I kept waiting. And about 6:30, the parking lot outside was still empty. The reality began to set in. All I had done to prepare for this class was for nothing. At least 20 people had signed up, yet no one actually came to their first class. It was disappointing, to say the least, and I'm sure most of you have experienced a similar struggle. You dedicate your blood and sweat into something you care about, and it goes unappreciated. As discouraging as it was, I did not give up that day. I went back to the drawing board and started again from scratch. I did not know what I did wrong at the time, but I knew that I had to try again. I did what I could to make the class better. The second time I opened my class, only about 5 people showed up. But it was better than having no students showed up, and I gave those 5 people my undivided attention and taught the class with dignity. There will be times in your life where you simply cannot figure out what you did wrong. There will be times where no matter how hard you prepare, how hard you perform, you will fail. Life is not fair, but if you want to change the world, you have to get over failure and keep moving forward. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much, Darren.
Now, lastly, we have Yan Yan Dane. She got early acceptance into Harvard, and in addition, she was admitted into 7 other colleges. She is a heavy loaded award winner, a visionary leader, and a scholar. She set a very high bar for her future, and she continuously excels and works hard towards her dreams. Welcome, Yan Yan Dane.
Thank you. I'm gonna share my screen because I do have a presentation. So just give me 1 second, please. Sorry, I just got a new computer and I don't know. It's not really letting me do it. So I just had a slideshow though, so I can just talk, I guess, unless there's another thing I can do.
Yeah, you cannot share the screen. So is under this bar is have the share the screen. Can you?
I have like weird security settings on my computer. Sorry about this.
It's okay. So how about like the Google slide? You can put the Google slide or something, or can you share this? Share the, can you send me the email? Then we can share the screen.
Yeah.
Which way is better?
Yeah, you have to give the allowance to use the camera and microphone.
Could you give me your email so I can send it to you, please? I can also just put the link in the chat.
Oh yeah, link the chat.
The email is on the way.
Yeah, Yan Yan is oh, okay, good.
Okay.
You could just tell me when to like change the slides.
Okay. You can also just change them when I get to the end of it. Like you can figure it out. Anyway, sorry about the technical difficulties, but I just wanted to introduce myself and say hi. So I'm Yan Yan. I use she, her, hers pronouns, and I'm from Bloomington, Minnesota. I'm also an incoming student at Harvard studying environmental science and public policy. So I'm not a student at LongLong Art Studio, but I do dance and clarinet. So I understand how all of you have a love for art too. You can change the slide. So I'm just going to talk about some things that I've learned from applying to college. And I was hoping to share some of those things with some of you who might be going through the process soon. First, I wanted to get some disclaimers out of the way. I'm not an admissions officer or any kind of expert. So everything I'm about to say is based on my own experience and the research I've done about admissions. But with that being said, I kind of have done a lot. At the same time, I'm not an expert though. And I also wanted to say there is no one way to get into college, and there's also not a magic formula. For top tier schools, admissions is very subjective. So it's different for everybody. And I also wanted to mention sometimes college is not the right path for everyone, and that's completely okay. So don't feel pressured to go to college just because I'm doing this presentation or something. So I'm going to start with some practical tips for people. The first one is to start early on your applications, but not too early. I think it's really important that we enjoy the time we have before senior year. And I wasn't too good at this, and I kind of regret it because for a lot of the summer, like last year, I was spending lots of time thinking about college applications. But for serious applicants, like people who are aiming for top schools, it can be smart to start making lists of colleges and reading essay prompts at the end of junior year and like getting started. Number two, when making your college list, be thoughtful and honest. So ask yourself questions like, do you really want to go there, or is it just a prestigious school, or are you just applying because your friends want to go there? I think it's important to think about that, and then also to have safety, target, and reach schools. And you can also look at the acceptance rates and average test scores or GPAs for the schools that you're interested in to see how you would fit in. Number three, you definitely don't need perfect grades or test scores to get into college. Usually once you reach a certain threshold or level, it doesn't really matter if you get higher scores. Colleges just want to see if you can handle the course rigor there. And to find out what your target should be, you can search for your college's average test score and GPA ranges. Number four, overall, your essays, activities, and recommendation letters will be what makes you stand out as opposed to your test scores and grades. And that's because they'll be completely unique to you. No one else can write the same essays or do the same activities as you. So in the end, those will probably be what makes you stand out. Number five, when it comes to extracurriculars, quality is definitely more important than quantity. So I think some people have said this already, but it's definitely better to have 3 things that you're really committed to than 15 things that you can barely keep up. And that's because you'll be a lot more happy and motivated doing the 3 things that you actually like. And then when you spend time on them, you can do a lot better. And also admissions officers can tell when you're like resume packing. So if you just have a bunch of things that you're barely involved in, it's not exactly that impressive because it seems like you're just doing it for the college application.
Number 6, when you're writing things, try to be specific and show, don't tell. So if you're writing a story, for example, include specific details to make readers see and feel things like you do or like you did in that moment. So an example is she loved to dance versus she practiced her turns in the grocery store aisles and wouldn't go to bed without 30 minutes of stretching. So in the second example, you can really tell how much this person loved to dance instead of just reading it and not being able to tell. Number 7, these are just my tips for recommendation letters. So like kind of the second you walk into high school, I think it's a good idea to try to develop good relationships with every teacher. Even if they don't end up writing your letter, it's always good to get on people's good sides, I guess. And it's nice to know that like people are willing to support you too in your school. It's a good idea to ask teachers for letters at the end of junior year because it'll be before they get like the huge wave of other students asking them. And so they'll have a lot more time to put thought into your letter. And you should pick the teachers who know you best and not just the ones who you think like you more. I think those will usually end up writing better letters. And then you can also give writers a 1 to 2 page sheet with a list of things that you want them to mention. Some people call this a brag sheet, but this can just be helpful in case the writer feels stuck or if there's something you really want them to mention. Number 8, you've probably heard that leadership is important, but it comes in many forms. So you don't have to be the president, captain, co-founder, founder of anything to show leadership. So you can do a lot of different things like leading a project within a club that you're involved in, or teaching younger students, advocating for a cause that you care about, or serving others. Number 9, definitely be really genuine and honest on your application. You won't gain anything from lying, that's for sure. But at the same time, you can make sure you give yourself credit for what you've achieved. So for when you're talking about your extracurriculars, you can use strong verbs and try to fit in as much information as possible given the word limit. And the last more practical tip is to apply for financial aid and scholarships. So as you probably know, college is super expensive, but there's a lot of money out there that can help you pay for it. And you'll get the most aid if you qualify directly from the school you're going to. So financial aid is definitely a good idea. And now I just have 5 more general tips for applying to college. The first one is to try to manage your time wisely. And I know this is hard, but it's super important for college applications. So if you're applying to a lot of selective schools like I did, you should expect applications to take up as much time as an extra AP class or even more, like it was for me. And you'll also need to learn how to prioritize and make sacrifices when necessary. So it'll be important to figure out if you'd rather stay home and work on something or go out with your friends, but it doesn't have to be one thing over the other all the time. The next tip is to try and stay organized. It's really important to stay on top of deadlines and requirements for the colleges you're applying to, and also try to have applications ready like 1 to 2 days before they're officially due in case something goes wrong, like you have a problem with your computer like I just did now, or you realize you forgot to do something. So it's a good idea to be early. Next thing is a reminder that going to college is going to be for you. So it's totally okay and even encouraged to get advice from your parents and friends. But at the end of the day, remember that you're the one going to college and not them. So that means in some cases, your wants and needs should come above theirs, and you can learn to like prioritize yourself sometimes. Another really important thing to remember is that where you are accepted or rejected from definitely does not define you in any way. So in the US, college admissions is extremely subjective, and a lot of the results are just due to chance. So if you get rejected somewhere, that doesn't mean you're not smart. And if you get accepted, that doesn't mean you're like the best student in the world. But if you work hard for your goals, where you go to college in the end will not matter, because you can achieve success no matter what if you have the right mindset. That's my belief, at least. And last thing, but definitely not least, is that during this time, self-care should come first, and I really mean that. So applying to college can be really stressful, and it's important to look after your physical and mental health. So one thing you can do is take breaks. I was not very good at doing this, so that's why I included it. So the work will still be there when you come back. You don't need to worry. And my last point is just getting into your top choice school is definitely not worth like only sleeping for 5 hours, not eating enough, feeling unhappy, or losing your social life. Like I said in the last slide, where you get accepted doesn't define you. It's really your drive and motivation that gets you places. And that is it. Thank you all for listening, and congratulations on graduating and finishing another year of school. If you want to stay in touch, I put my Instagram on there. It's yenyenz_. And this is a bit of a shameless self-promo, but I'm also doing college consulting through Cardinal Consulting. So if you liked the advice I gave, you can go to their website. It's linked right there, and request to have me as your coach. But other than that, thanks again, and I'll toss it back to the hosts. That's it.
Thank you, Yang. Now that we have heard from our outstanding graduates this year, let's move on to the 10-minute Q&A.
Yeah, we have the 10 minutes to question and answer. So if anyone have the questions, you can ask, or you can put into our chat.
Nobody has any questions?
Here's a question from the chat. What were some of your guys' favorite art memories or favorite pieces that you have created?
I can take this one. So some of my favorite art memories are just like, I kind of like briefly mentioned this before. It's just like the opportunities to just like go to other places and demo and just like see like new surroundings and meet new people. Like there was, like at the DIA, we were able to like just like show off some like traditional Chinese painting techniques, which was like cool, like to like share our culture with other people. And some of my favorite pieces are just like some just like portraits. I also like, okay, maybe one of my favorite pieces was this one picture of my granduncle who has like, I did a like portrait commission for him, and like because like he had like cancer and stuff, so that was just like a nice piece that I like remember him by.
Does anybody else have any more questions?
Yeah, here's a question kind of directed towards like the college application. What suggestions would you like to give in regards to like essay ideas to brainstorm through the whole process?
I can give some advice. So when you're writing essays, just realize that there really isn't any bad idea. In fact, if you think it's bad, it's probably good, because let's face it, like the college admissions officers, they're going to be reading like tens, maybe hundreds of essays a day. And they're probably all about the same thing, to put it frankly. So they're going to be bored out of their mind by the time they get to your essay. So if you can come up with an idea that's unique in some way, then you will definitely get their attention. So just keep that in mind, right? Doesn't have to be all formal, suit and tie kind of essay. It can be kind of casual, informal, just keep using correct grammar and stuff. But just don't feel compelled to make it like a resume or something, right? It's like your chance of self-expression. So yeah.
Yeah, and I just wanted to add a little bit. I agree a lot with what Darren said. If you are not sure of which topic to pick, you can just try writing like a paragraph or two about each thing and then see which flows better, which one you like more.
Okay, here's a question from the chat. For Daniel, I am wondering how you prepare for the Math and Computer Olympiad competitions. Are there enough resources at your school, or do you get classes from private tutoring?
Okay, I'll just briefly answer this because it's not as related to the current topic, but so mainly just by myself. There's a lot of good online resources, for example, for math. There's aops.com. If you want to talk to me more about it, I'll send you my email through private message. Oh wait, I can't do private message, but okay. But yeah, just to elaborate some more, since there aren't any other questions, I would say like definitely, I think my art experience definitely helped to expand my vision, and like it did definitely help me with math and computer science.
So do you think it would hurt to send your email address publicly to everybody?
Yes, yes. Daniel's email can send me. Then someone needs the question, you can directly ask me. Okay, so we don't want his private information to public, right?
Yeah.
Can I ask a question to Yan Yan?
Sure.
So Yan Yan, you are going to Harvard to study environmental science. Obviously, you have the passion for environmental science. So tell us something about your experience, how you get involved in the environmental science, and what kind of activities so to help you apply to college.
Yeah, so it's kind of a unique story, actually. So I think at the end of sophomore year, I did like an activity booth with my friend at school about sorting waste like into trash, recycling, and compost. And during that event, the seniors came up to us and asked if we wanted to take over the environmental club at my school. So we were like, yeah, sure. And then over the summer, we worked on it and renamed it to Earth Core. So then I became like co-presidents with my friends. So I did a lot more like leadership stuff with that. We had meetings. We did a bunch of projects like adding compost bins into our school bathrooms for paper towels. And then so I did that for a year in junior year, and then I became the president senior year. And then at the same time, I also joined my city's sustainability commission. So I went to like monthly meetings and we talked about the city's sustainability policies, and we like gave recommendations on that. So doing all of that, I got really interested because I got to have like hands-on experience in the environmental field. And I just realized I care a lot about fighting climate change and environmental justice. So that's how I got like really into the environmental field, and it's why I'm majoring in it.
Thank you.
We do have another question from the chat box. Anyone can answer this. And how do you handle the subjects you don't like that much?
I guess I can answer this first. I think I'm assuming by subjects that you don't like, you mean by like school subjects. Because if it's outside of school, then if you truly don't like it, then I would recommend just to stop doing it. Because if you truly don't like it, then you are wasting your time. But in school, it is important to keep up your grades. And I would say that you have to realize that in high school, all the required subjects are helpful later on. For example, when I first entered high school, I really did not like writing. But over time, I realized that writing is actually very important. So once you realize that it's very important for your future, then that will help you to have more motivation to do it. You might not like it at the very start. And then eventually, hopefully, you'll be able to enjoy it more and more as you realize that it is useful.
Does anybody else want to answer the question?
Can I ask Daniel another question?
Yeah, sure.
So Daniel, you attended a Math Olympia. You spent a lot of time preparing the math. How do you balance your preparation of your math competition versus your other school life? You have all kinds of different subjects, and how do you balance your time and stay organized and stay on top of these things?
Well, the most important thing is to be able to manage your time well. And by that, I mean to cut back on some of the things that are a waste of time. For example, like definitely like spend less time wasted on searching random internet stuff. And if you do cut back on those things, then you'll find that you do have actually a lot of time. And second, there is a trade-off involved. So I spent a lot of time on math. So in high school, I spent less time on some other things I might have enjoyed. And I did do less extracurriculars, but as Yan Yan said earlier, it is important to find something that you enjoy a lot. And then it doesn't have to be a lot of things, but find like 1 or 2 or 3 things that you enjoy a lot and then focus on those things. And then spend less time on the other things. So there is a trade-off involved.
Thank you for that. There's also another question in the chat for Yan Yan. How many people are there in your club?
It fluctuates. I think we don't have like a set number, but I'd say right now we have like 20 active members.
Can I ask a question to Dorothy?
Yeah.
So Dorothy, which is your most favorite part when you study art in the art studio? And how do you think this would help you overall, either for your college or potentially your future?
Oh, yeah. So I think that learning art, okay, aside from like what I mentioned in my speech, like the perseverance aspect of it, I also think that this might sound like a bit obscure, but just like I felt like in high school and just like in general, it's like art, it's so useful in like so many different places. Like for projects in high school, they give you like a lot of freedom sometimes, and then a lot of the times I choose like a more like artistic approach, and like teachers really enjoy that, and it's just like it's just a nice way to kind of stand out, since like there's like a lot of ways you can like I did a lot of stop motion videos, or like or just like posters, and it just looks a lot better if you know how to do art. Yeah.
We have one more question in the chat. How would you guys do the college research and then essentially narrow down the list of applications? And like, what are some key criteria that you guys look for?
I think like when you're trying to find colleges, you should definitely look at just like how expensive the tuition will be, and just like where it's located, because some people aren't as willing to go like far away from their parents. And for me, I also use like if you're afraid of like writing college essays, like I read a few like college essay writing books, and those are super useful, and they have like a lot of good tips.
For me, I started by thinking about the location I wanted to go to, because by doing that, you can already cut out like 70% of the colleges, like narrow it down by a lot, because I knew I only wanted to go to either the East Coast or California. So that helped narrow things down a lot. And then for criteria, I thought about like if they have the program that I wanted, like environmental studies or specifically environmental policy. I also just looked at reviews and like what people said. Diversity was also an important factor for me, because I wanted to go somewhere that was a lot more diverse than my high school or like my hometown. Yeah, those were like the main things I considered.
So anyone can answer that question?
I would say for me, definitely the location did not matter as much. I was fine with going anywhere. And also, I feel like the program matters a lot in the student body, especially making sure that you like the students that go to that school. That might be hard for people, especially because like you don't know for sure what the college is like until you actually attend there. But trying to get a feel for what the student body is like, that's also a very important thing. And for me, that was a lot more important than where the school is located.
Okay, so another thing I'd like to add is that, well, colleges are like, they're a three-dimensional experience, right? You can't just look at rankings or something, because I would say they're not really that helpful. College is an experience for you, so you should look at the things you care about, not just what other people say about it. So if some place has a really good program in psychology and you want to do psychology, then go there. But there's like a college that's better, but like it doesn't even have a good psychology program, there's really no point in going there, right? So just remember that college is for you. And yeah, don't forget, like, there's other factors, not just like academics. Like I know other people said the diversity of the school. Obviously, you will have a preference for going to somewhere that's more diverse or maybe not diverse. I don't know. So, and also what place it's located in. I know some people definitely have a preference for, say, somewhere that's more urban, like say Columbia University is in New York City, right? But if you don't like the idea of going to a very large city, in fact, the largest city in the US, then you might want to go somewhere more rural, like Cornell is in Ithaca, New York, I believe, and that's like a more suburban experience. And if you're into that, then that might be a better choice.
I would also like to add, I think Yang was really right about college is for you. College is about like, it doesn't matter where you go. It's about what you make out of it. Like you can go anywhere and do anything. You're not limited. I think there's so much emphasis on college rankings and I have to get into like these top schools because a lot of like there's this whole rat race for it. But in the end, really, it's these 4 years. It's about what you make out of it. Like you can go to the top university and not take advantage of any of the resources, and it'd be and there's like no difference. I guess, or maybe you didn't get into the school of your like dream school, and that's okay. But you can like make the most out of the resources at that school and do whatever you want. Like it's just 4 years, and you have to, I think, take advantage of that. And I guess it just doesn't matter where you go in the end because it's all up to you. Like going to your dream school or not your dream school is not going to like ruin your life as long as you are making an effort to like chase your dreams, to be to put an effort, to persevere. And I think that's I know like people who have I know a friend, he was at Eastern Michigan University and he transferred to Michigan, but then he really didn't like it, and he transferred back to Eastern, and he enjoyed it there, and he was able to succeed in his career. And like same people who transferred out of Michigan into a private liberal arts college because that's what they wanted. So I think it's really important to really look into what do you like program and what you make out of college.
You have a dream that one day you can stand out the high. Thank you for coming to our ceremony today. Thank you for everyone to come our ceremony. Our ceremony will be end. If you have any questions, you can scan this barcode. Then you can give us some the email or give us a chat, or you can have any questions. We can help you answer. So thank you all of you, and thank you for coming to our ceremony.